Not that it helps anything, but the NFL admitted that they made a mistake with one of the calls in the Ravens-Steelers game. We also get a very positive update on Keaton Mitchell. We hear from John Harbaugh today on why Emery Jones Jr. didn't play and his thoughts about the offensive line overall. He also says that DeAndre Hopkins is going to be much more involved down the stretch. Ben Cleveland gets suspended for violating the NFL substance abuse policy. All that and more in today's episode of the Flock Rundown.
Ravens Flock Rundown is the place to be.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown. I'm still disgusted and hurt after yesterday's loss. After the last two losses, how this season's went. We're 6-7 right now. It sucks, man. This is not fun. But weirdly enough, we win the next 4 games, we're in the playoffs. Not to say that I have a lot of confidence of that happening, but that's the truth. If we win the next 4, we are in the playoffs, hosting a playoff game, believe it or not. But I wanted to start with what John Harbaugh said this morning, and that is that he spoke with the NFL, and he said he's allowed to admit that they made an error on the Travis Jones call and that should not have been a penalty. That field goal should have stood, and therefore the Steelers wouldn't have got a touchdown because they called Travis Jones for unnecessary roughness. I brought this up yesterday in yesterday's episode. A lot of fans have been bringing this up. I did not understand how that was unnecessary roughness. He's just coming through the gap. Yes, his finger may have tapped lineman's helmet, but I mean, my goodness, this is football, man. And the NFL admitted that they made a mistake there.
We did discuss the Travis Jones call as well. And the Travis Jones call, they told me I had permission to state this, that it was a wrong call. It should not have been called.
They told you that?
Yes.
John, is it in that kind of saying, it has to be forcible contact with the head and neck area, right? It's not just...
Correct. That's the rule. It's not forcible contact to a defensive player. It's not whether you run a player over trying to block a field goal. That has nothing to do with it. It's forcible contact to the head and neck area.
And then we still didn't get a lot of clarity on the Isaiah Likely call. And I don't want to just harp on these bad calls as the, sole outcome of the game. The Ravens lost. They played a terrible first half. The defense let up some big plays. There's a lot of reasons for this loss. We turned the ball over. We didn't get any turnovers. We didn't even get a sack. There's a lot of reasons for this loss. Bad O-line play. I could go on and on. But the refs also played a role in this. And that Isaiah Likely play is still a catch, in my opinion. They said they're looking for a third step or a football move. Well, him catching the ball and then extending the ball out initially is a football move, and then you get both feet down. When is that not a catch? But I don't know. Harbaugh said that he talked to the NFL about that, and he said what's a catch and what's not a catch is about as clear as mud right now.
After watching it, do you feel there needs to be more clarification on what is a catch?
Well, that's a complicated kind of a question there. Like, am I comfortable? No. Do I think there needs more clarification? Yeah, it's about as clear as mud right now. That's how I feel about it.
Does it make sense to you that when a guy gets 2 feet in, on the sidelines, that's a catch? You hit the pylon with the football, that's a touchdown. You break the plane, that's a touchdown. But somehow that's not ruled a touchdown yesterday.
Yeah. There's a lot to it, and it's a conversation. I had a conversation with the league office, and they were gracious enough to spend a lot of time on the phone with myself and Eric and Tony Mahalik, and we appreciate that. It didn't clear anything up. It didn't make it any easier to understand in either one of the 2 calls. They're very hard to understand how they get overturned, but they did, and that's where it stands.
We did get some really positive news today, and that is that Keaton Mitchell is day-to-day. There's no structural damage because he did have a knee injury on that long run. He left the game in the third quarter after that, and he was having a great game, man. I love the combo of Derrick Henry and Keaton Mitchell, and our run game overall busted loose yesterday. I mean, 217 rushing yards is nothing to sneeze at. That is a dominant day on the ground. The Ravens ran the ball very well yesterday. Not as much in the first half. There's definitely some resistance resistance for sure. We were not getting things going, but I mean, overall, when you take a look at the game, the Ravens ran the rock, and Keaton Mitchell had a lot to do with that. So it's amazing to hear that there's no long-term knee injury again, and I'm sure that's a relief for him to hear. He tweeted out, thank God, because he's been through the ringer with injuries, man. So the fact that this is just a day-to-day, and he'll probably be good for this Sunday against the Bengals. If not, then definitely the next week after that. Hopefully he's ready this week, though, man. I mean, we got to win out. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I know a lot of people are saying the season's already over, and that's probably just because you don't believe that the Ravens can win out, and I totally understand that. I get it. My confidence is low, too. But the reality is, if we won all 4 games, we are in the playoffs, hosting a playoff game, and getting in the dance. You never know what could happen. So as bad as it feels, everything's still, weirdly enough, right in front of the Ravens. It's just, are they going to show up and play a full game of football? Are they going to play consistent football? Is everyone going to raise their level of play? And that is hard to have confidence in after this season. I totally get it. And speaking of this Bengals game that we got on Sunday, they're pretty much eliminated after the loss to Buffalo. They have 9 losses, and T. Higgins is back in the concussion protocol. So if he doesn't pass that very quickly, it seems like they will not have T. Higgins again for this Ravens matchup. And the Ravens are going into Cincinnati, which is an absolute must-win game this Sunday, and they'll probably not be facing T. Higgins. And when we played the Bengals on Thanksgiving, we saw a rotation at left guard. Emery Jones Jr. got a few drives in place of Voorhees, and then in this game against the Steelers, Emery Jones Jr. did not see the field. He was active on game day, but didn't get a single snap. Voorhees went the distance. John Harbaugh was asked about that today, and he said that Emery Jones Jr. didn't play as well or better than either of the guards, and that's why he was not out there.
John, we didn't see Emery Jones at all. Was it just a weekly thing, or are you kind of reevaluating?
Well, I mean, yeah, he played okay in the game. It wasn't better than either one of the other 2 guys in the first game. He didn't outplay those guys. So you're going into the game with your best guys that you feel are playing the best. So you got to meet players where they're at. Not to say he couldn't get more time this week, based on what happens in practice or how guys are doing health-wise and those sort of things. But that's where it was at. So, I mean, Emery's doing great. I mean, he's in a great place. I love where he's at. And I think if he went out there, he'd compete like crazy. And I think he'd play great because I would trust him to go play great. But based on that performance, you couldn't say it was better, or even the same.
This guard situation for the Ravens is bad. It's as bad as I can ever remember, to be honest with you. And this is dating back to last season, too. And I know the media and everybody's clipping up, only Fa'alele, and I get it. He's got some awful losses. Go watch the left side, too, though, man. Voorhees is not consistent, is not great at anything, to be honest. And I am annoyed that we didn't see any more Emery Jones Jr. And, Harbaugh saying like, oh, in the future we might see more. No, we need to see it now, man. There's no more future left here. Like, by next year, a lot's going to change. Fa'alele is a free agent. We're probably going to redo the whole offensive line. Like, there's going to be a lot of change during this offseason for the better, hopefully. But I'm just saying, like, we need to try those things now if we're not getting consistent play. And the fact that Harbaugh says we are getting good offensive line play is wild to me. I think he's just defending his guys. I genuinely believe that. There's no way you can look at the guard play on our offensive line and say that they're doing a good job or that there's no way to make it better. I mean, it's been this way for 2 years, and this year has been a regression from last year. We had a dominant offense last year, and we still had inconsistent guard play. And then this year, the whole offensive line has regressed a bit. We're obviously not as dominant of an offense, not even close to what we were last year, even though we basically had the same personnel.
I just talked to George Moorhup about it. It's all in all, I thought the offensive line played well all in all. And I thought the 2 tackles played 2 of their best games. Roger overset one time, got beat inside on a certain type of pass protection. Tyler played really well. I thought the guards played exceptionally well in the run game. I mean, they were moving people. They were wearing people out. So that was good to see. I thought they were mostly good in the pass game, but 2 inconsistent probably. There was 2 or 3 each of them had probably. Daniel had a couple in the pass game, and Andrew might have had 1 or 2 in the run game he wants back. But every player has plays they want back. I can think of one where Daniel was hard setting, like a hard play action, where it was more of a drop back pass type protection, got overextended and got beat like that. That really shouldn't happen. I mean, he should be setting a different way there. He knows that, so that was a mistake. Lots of other times it was good. We got beat toward the end on a two-man inside game, that we could have done a better job on. Keep Lamar clean right at the end of the game there. So things like that need to be better from the interior guys.
There's a piece of me that is excited for the offseason to retool this offensive line and hopefully take a big leap forward from where we're at right now, but I'm not expecting any changes for the rest of this season. I mean, why would we? We haven't seen much changes at all outside of the Emery Jones Jr. rotation, which I thought was a positive start to something. I was fine with it starting as a rotation. I get not throwing a rookie in there to just start the game and sink or swim. I get it. I get the rotation. That makes sense. But then to not rotate him and then to say like, oh, well, he's just not playing as good as the other guys. That's frustrating to hear when you're watching the performance out there week after week. This offensive line is just not good enough. And it's not the sole reason. I mean, obviously, other pieces of the team are making mistakes as well. But I would say that's the weakest part of our team is, pass rush, just getting pressure, and the offensive line on the offensive side of the ball. The trenches, essentially, on both sides of the ball is the weakest part of the Ravens, has been all season, and they haven't addressed it, and I guess they don't feel like they have the option ready on the offensive line. I know Emery at some point is going to get a start, but probably next year. It doesn't seem like they're going to make that switch right now, but it ain't good enough, and it's hard to have confidence in this team, going on a run or anything like that when this offensive line is playing like they are and has been. And it's frustrating that John Harbaugh is like, well, they're playing pretty well. Everyone has bad reps. True, everyone has bad reps. Not every single week, multiple times a game, and these reps are bad, man. Like, they are bad losses. If you're going to lose slow. A lot of people lose. Harbaugh's not wrong in the fact that every offensive lineman has some bad reps, but lose slow. We look lost out there, man. We can't understand simple stunts that defenses keep running. We're not picking up the right guys. We're confused in space on who to block. It just doesn't make any sense to me, and there's no way we can't be better. Looking at the snap counts from yesterday, Emery Jones Jr. was definitely surprising to not get a snap. Also, DeAndre Hopkins, super low snap percentage, and John Harbaugh was asked about that today, and he said that they've been wanting to get D-Hop more involved and that he will be more involved down the stretch.
Yeah, I'd like to be using DeAndre more. He got a couple throws. Just kind of sometimes it's just the way the game goes a little bit, but he's not out there all the time. He's not. I don't think he's at the stage of his career where he's going to play every play. So when he's out there, you really want to. And we've talked a lot about this, trying to be intentional about him being out there for specific purposes and to do the things that he does well, which we all kind of know what those things are. So I will say that, like, if you go back and you watch the game, you're going to see him playing his tail off. I mean, he's running routes. He's fighting to get open. He's blocking. He's competing. He's doing everything he can, and that's what I admire about him and love about him. He's just become one of my favorite players ever, and we are gonna be friends for a long time, and he and I've had a lot of these conversations. But yes, this next game and these next 4 games and into the playoffs, let's get him involved more. We really need to try to do that. We have been trying to do it. We can do it. It hasn't fallen for us, but I still believe he's going to make plays for us that are going to matter.
I guess better late than never, but I definitely think that DeAndre Hopkins, even though he's getting a very small sample size and limited snaps, could still bring a ton to this offense. This is a guy that you can still go to, and he's just not out there enough, to be honest with you, and I think that he's going to be more down the stretch here. We'll see what difference that makes, if it even makes up any type of difference this late in the season, but I would like to see more DeAndre Hopkins as well. I think he's playing hard. He has great hands and elite catch radius that no one else really brings to this team, and I just think that he, with all his football experience, can step up in big moments and be a guy that we give the ball to. Lamar was trying to give the ball on that 4th down to DeAndre Hopkins. I didn't see this live in the game, but I saw it after floating around online, and that is when Mark Andrews kind of jumped that pass, and I guess Mark thought that could be for him. He didn't see DeAndre Hopkins behind him, but you could tell by Hopkins and Lamar's reaction that 4th down ball was going to DeAndre Hopkins. Mark jumped and kind of flailed in front of it. If he would have caught it, it would have been sick. I think Mark needs to go up and get it and be a little bit more aggressive in those situations too. There was 2 times in that game where Mark was kind of flailing, looking for a call instead of just going up and trying to high point the ball and come down with it. We need to be more aggressive in going and getting the ball and stop complaining for the the ref to bail us out. The refs ain't bailing us out, clearly. You know, there's been a lot of calls throughout this year, and I'm never one to bring out refs, man. I really don't. But yesterday's game, there were some bad calls, and I just feel like we've been on the wrong side of a lot of calls this season. And you can't be looking for calls. You got to go out there and make a play. But that's it for today, guys. Just wanted to go over some updates and kind of recap some things that Harbaugh said and some things that stood out. Let me know what you're thinking about everything from the game and just your confidence moving forward. I'm also going live again tonight with Noah at 7 o'clock, so hope to see a lot of you guys there, and we'll just grieve together and talk about everything that's going on. I'm not going anywhere, man. You know, we're not dead until we're dead, and even then I'll be talking about how we can rebuild this team in the offseason. So I'm a diehard for life. You know, unfortunately this year it has not been a fun year in sports in general for me. I'm a Wizards fan in basketball too, man, so it's a struggle, and an Orioles fan in baseball. It has been a rough 2025, and I thought the Ravens would kind of be the savior of that, but it has not played out that way. But we'll see. Still 4 games left. But I appreciate you guys so much. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll let the greatest linebacker in the history of the game take us out.
Ravens flock. The flock rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. So I'm telling you now, it's about to go down. Podcast, the flock rundown. Ravens, baby. Nothing gets better